So I'm looking forward to this. This should be fun because I do love Peanuts.
Mm.
I do.
Have you seen the special then?
I have. I've watched it twice.
Mm.
So and I'm a big fan. I mean, I've already admitted to loving Peanuts. One of my earliest film memories is going to see a boy called, I think it was called, was it a boy called Charlie Brown? A boy named Charlie Brown. I saw that at the cinema. So you know, so I'm very old, so I was able to do these sort of things. But yeah, no, it's a hoot. I mean, that's the crazy thing about Peanuts. It just keeps on resonating. It's still entertaining, you know. So it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, what I found funny about the new one is that it almost harkens back to the old movies where the kids gather and go, "Hey, come on, we can put the show on here," you know.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of Mickey. It's like a Mickey Rooney film.
It has it has some innocence.
Yes,
which is I think very much the artistic choice of the team, and the Schulz family, who looms over everything, and it's really helpful to have them there, to have the son and grandson of the creator around. It is nice because it gives you some guardrails, and I think everyone agrees that works on these things that it's fantastic to have a framework that is a quiet, thoughtful, not black and white, but the world is gray. Children aren't stupid. There are two sides to stories. It's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
It's okay to be quiet. It's like, like all the kids' entertainment in my life, aside from, maybe one or two things, and I would say Peanuts is the flagship for, quiet, a quiet life. And so that's really useful. It means that I can write songs with a considerable amount of nuance and allowing the kids that are listening to it agency and understand. That's rare. Someone had me write for nothing wrong with SpongeBob, but if someone had me write for that, I know what my job would be in that. I probably wouldn't take it. In fact, I know I wouldn't take it because I didn't take it when it was offered once. But it has to be everything's. But the world's not like that. I mean, you have to wake up and read the news about someone that's like that, but the real world is not like that, and kids are smart. So.
I think you're right. I mean, I think for me the thing about Charlie Brown, which I liked, and also about the film, is it has a gentle quality to it, which I find quite refreshing. And there does seem to be this subtle move. I saw that in the new Fantastic Film 4, where the two lead characters are married and they're going to have a child. And I suddenly thought, blimey, I've not seen that in film in ages, where there's niceness, there's a kindness, there's a gentility to it, which I think is definitely in the new Peanuts film. There's a there is an adventure, but it's not like a dramatic things exploding adventure. It's about gentleness, and it's about being nice to each other, which I got to say, in the climate we live in now, is so refreshing.
It's valuable. It's actually of value. You have to remember, and that's one of the things that this piece that they've made and I've written music to, or we've made, has I think expressed well, which is, kids are inheriting. They're inheriting a world, and part of what they're inheriting is not great. Just climate change, which is, or sprawl. Both of those things, I would say, exist in the narration of this. There's camp that won't be there anymore, and instead of the kids being in a position of having no authority or no agency, they actually have some. They show that they've inherited a good thing, and they've inherited a not so good thing. The camp, wonderful. They've inherited that. But on the other hand, they've inherited a world where tractors and sprawl and progress are there. And I wanted to address in the songs for the kids that the world is not black and white and that they know it. Even in the up-tempo ending song that they're playing for the fundraiser to save the camp. you know, the bridges, the kids are going, look, don't get us wrong. We like progress. I like the mall. I like my telephone. We all like the stuff, but there's a time and place, and we have to, you know, prioritize things. And I think kids inherently know a lot of that stuff, and shouldn't just be, and it shouldn't be all bad. Like this kid should, so at the very end, I have the, you know, Charlie Brown say in a down moment in the last one, it's like, you know, mother and father, that's a harken back to hello mother, hello father.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hello mother, hello father. You've done the best you can do,
yeah.
but it wasn't always the best. That it wasn't always the best. You did the best you could, but that's all you could do. And we're stuck with this. You know, wish us good luck, because now we've got to go out and make our own mistakes.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I mean, there's two things. There's a bit in the at the end where you're going across the wall of memories and all the photos, and
Yeah.
I actually I sort of choked at it, and it was a lovely moment. And what I loved about it was that there were photos on the wall of Charlie Brown as he was when he was first drawn, and in that
Yes.
different drawing style. Honestly, it's making the hair stand up on my arms now.
You know what?
That's
I'm
so
glad you
touching.
see it that way, because the guy who was, you know, there's of course always a team, but Erik Wiese, the animator, and had a
Yeah,
lot to do with the story. You might have talked to Erik before. You know, I passed him the song, first song that I turned in, and it had a lot of things about scrolling through pictures, because I
right.
felt that was a lyrical way to get somewhere. And when he read that, he went, I've got it. And he went and animated this stuff. And what he animated was, I same thing. Like when I saw it, even the storyboard stuff, I got goosebumps, because he was he was drawing young Charlie Brown in there, and it's like, that's
Yeah, isn't that
so
lovely?
special. It's really good, and that way, I think they earned the right to move the character forward.
Yeah.
I don't think Charles is gonna, you know, Schultz is gonna be rolling in his grave
No,
over, you know, like
no, not at
that's
all.
a lot of responsibility, you know.
Yeah. No, I felt, I know, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I really felt it captured the spirit of it. And the great thing, the one time that you don't even see the adults' legs, you just hear their voices. That was lovely, you know. I mean, you have to accept the fact that at the end there's no adults at all. It's just the kids gathering, which was splendid. But
Yeah.
I got a question which I've got to ask, which is, is there one character in the world of Peanuts that you identify with?
You know, I'm gonna have to jump on the Charlie Brown, you know,
Not
just
Schroeder. I thought you'd go for Schroeder.
no, you know, Charlie Brown, because he's I understand that almost muted mood he finds himself in. It's almost like he's shocked down to sort of a melancholy. Anything that happens in the world, he doesn't get super happy, but he
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
get super sad. He like exists, you know, in this sort of like gray emotional area. He's not really easily excitable, obviously. And you know, that was one of the things that, you know I thought about when we were making this, which is Charlie Brown hated camp, didn't he?
yeah. That's
He
absolutely.
fucking hated camp.
But don't you feel like that there's a sense he's passing it on to Sally, so she's taking the mantle. That's what I loved about it. And there was that sense that he hated it in the beginning, but now that he's so much older that he can see the benefits of it, and he's passing
Yeah,
on to the next generation. That's what I loved about it. There was that generational feel to it, and he's only
exactly.
what, 6 or 7 years old. I mean, that's what's so funny. He's got all
Yeah.
these grown up ideas. But listen, I feel like I've taken up too much of your time, so I think this is a good place to stop. So
Okay.
it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much. And
Good to
and
talk
thank
to
you.
you too. I'm sorry if I cussed. I forget about that
Oh
sometimes.
no, don't worry. I wasn't. I didn't once. You did it once, and that's absolutely fine. But
All right.
listen, great work. I absolutely love the film. Thank you so much, and a real
Thank you.
pleasure talking to you.
Right on.
Hi, David.
Hey, Eric and Craig, a real pleasure to meet you guys. Thank you so much for doing an interview with me. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Um,
pleasure to meet you. By the way,
yeah,
I'm a
pleasure to meet
huge
you
fan
guys.
of I'm a huge fan of Forbidden Planet. Grew up on
That's
it.
fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Peanuts. Uh, and also, I've in my career, I've also worked on things like SpongeBob and the Rugrats. So from a comic point of view. So and Craig,
Oh,
your father's work means profound amount to me. I mean, I've been a huge Peanuts fan my whole life, and behind me are all the books that Titan do that I've been working on for the last 15 years. I've been doing facsimile editions of all the old Peanuts books. So it's a genuine pleasure to meet you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love the back wall.
Yeah, took me ages.
That's
They're all delicately balanced, so anyone sneezes, they're falling off the wall. So anyway, the new Peanuts. I mean, it's very exciting. I've watched it 3 times now, and I've got to say I love it. I mean, I grew up. Well, I wouldn't say I grew up with them, but I went to see a Boy Called Charlie Brown at the cinema when I was a kid. So to see a new one, I mean, and 35 years since the last, it's an absolute pleasure. Really, very exciting. And what I loved about it was the way it managed to capture the feel of the old ones, but being something entirely new. So what was it like to work on this?
Go ahead, Eric.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, it was great. You know, it was one of those stories that had it all. It was funny, it was dramatic, just like the classic Peanuts. So we were very aware of the nostalgia of it, but I think, you know, we wanted to advance it and bring it up, make it a little bit more modern. But you know, it was an amazing opportunity to work in that legacy and honor it and try to follow, you know, a lot of those things that were set up. But the other thing too is we really focused on Charles Schulz's comic strips as well. I mean, that was really our main Northern Light, Northern Star. And so we incorporated a lot of those images. And then, you know, we would go on and give you something a bit more cinematic, a little bit more surreal. And I think that because of that, you know, we taking it to this other place really had more impact. And, you know, because it's a musical, you're sort of allowed to get away with a lot of those things. And then we would bring it back to the nostalgia of the Peanuts. So that for me was great to answer your question.
Thank you.
Try to.
Craig, for you, I mean, like, you know, you came on as the writer. Peanuts has been a part of your life for your whole life, basically. So what was it like, you know, like following your father, actually writing a Peanuts film? What did that feel like?
Well, it was a tremendous challenge, but especially in this instant, because this really was an artistic challenge compared to just, we did 7 shows for Apple TV Plus under Snoopy Presents. And I had the idea for a musical. And the difference here is that on the normal CoView special, Brian and Eli would get down and together and craft a story. Here we had to balance the story with the artistic ability of what Erik was going to bring to the thing, and then introduce the music also. So you had 3 different elements trying to blend together on something we had never done before, and actually had never been done in the Peanuts universe before. I will challenge anyone to say that they had a musical that was anything like this one. I think this was new to the universe totally, and I would hope you would agree that there's nothing out there. You know, they did Flash Spiegel in the past, and Good Man Charlie Brown, but I mean, this is new from the ground up with all new people, and it was a challenge. It was fun. It was fun and very exciting.
I mean, I think very fun challenge. For sure.
It must have been, absolutely. But there's something about Charlie Brown that seems to marry itself so well with sort of like the music. You know, the music in the film. It had a real quality. I mean, it's like, that real sort of like piano jazz. It's just lovely. What do you think it is about Peanuts that lends itself so well to that type of music?
For me, we all felt like, yes, the first thing you think about is Vince Guaraldi, and the piano plays. It's a character in the Peanuts universe, and who better to do that than Ben Folds?
Oh God, yeah.
And not only that, but like his lyrics, they're not always literal. He manages to go into places that are so poetic, a lot of metaphor, a lot of symbolism, that it just conjures up a lot of ideas. And, I think that having Ben be sort of a modern version, if you will, of a Vince Guaraldi, and also, we didn't want it to feel, in early conversations with Craig and the producers, it was like, we don't want it to feel like, the traditional Broadway style musical, those kind of songs. I think part of it, when we were early discussions, it's like, with Ben, you know, it's a band. And because it's the Peanuts, it's a band. And it wasn't meant to feel like such a big orchestral Broadway kind of thing. You know,
Mm.
we pepper in some of those things, but, you know, it was really, for me, I kept, you know, hammering home this thing of like, I don't want anything synthetic, real instruments, you know, record it, you know, just like you would one of your albums. And so, yeah, he got his guy to engineer it and produce it. And so it feels warm and cozy and it feels like it belongs in a camp, you know? So you really get this idea that it feels like it's the Peanuts performing this music.
Yeah, I mean, also it gives it a sense that it feels more real without a big orchestra. It feels more homely, I think, in a
Yeah.
way.
And all of that is anchored to Charles Schulz. You know, that was one of the things too for me. It is like looking at those drawings, it's handmade, and that's what we wanted to do, is try to like make sure that again, you know, this whole thing is about legacy, and we wanted to make sure that was echoing through the show, and that included the music. Want to feel real.
Well, I think you achieved that greatly. So you know, not just you, but you know what I mean. I think the whole film has that.
The whole team. Yeah.
I mean, the thing for me I find amazing about Peanuts is its longevity. I mean, you know, this year's 75th anniversary of Peanuts, and you know, we know that there was nearly 18,000 strips drawn for it. What do you think makes it so popular? Why do you? And I mean, there is a sense that it's everlasting. We're always going to, in 50 years' time, they'll still be talking about Charlie Brown and Snoopy and the gang, and I think that's an incredible thing to achieve. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think and there's no other comic strip in the world really that touches upon the humanity that Peanuts does. You know, when you look at those characters, you know, each one of us has a certain character, you know, deep within our soul that we reach into and love and deal with and relate to. And I think that's what does make it timeless. You know, my dad always wondered, you know, from his legacy, you know, what does that mean? You know, it really means that if your product, you know, lives on well after your death. And I think, like you said, I think Peanuts will easily continue on for more than 100 years, if not longer.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's going to outlive us all and then some. I really do. I mean, I wrote a whole list of questions. There's one I really wanted to ask you, which was this is for Craig. But how old were you when you first realized that your dad had created Peanuts?
Probably into the mid 60s, I would say. You know, I think 68 was probably kind of the height of the Peanuts world back in those days. You know, licensing had just taken off. I was a freshman in high school then. Up until then, I tried to ignore the fact that my dad drew Peanuts. You know, all my friends' fathers had jobs that you knew what they did. You know, they worked in a hardware store, they ran a mortuary or whatever. But you know, people ask like, "What does your dad do?" It was hard to describe. I mean, I just remember one kid came and said, "What's your dad do?" I said, "He draws peanuts." And he looked at me with a strange look on his face. He goes, "You mean your dad draws that label on the peanut butter jar?" No. So,
well, that's brilliant. So I got that. There's another question which I want to ask you, but I wanted to say something which I absolutely adored about the film, which was that there's a sequence where they look at the memory wall. And Charlie's looking up at all the photos. There's a bit that made the hairs, and they're standing up again now. They made the hairs of my arms stand up, and I wanted to thank you for it. It's the bit where he's looking at all the pictures, and there's a picture of Charlie Brown drawn as he first appeared. Because I love the fact that over the years, Charlie Brown and the characters, the drawing changes subtly over time. But to see that picture on the wall where they're all drawn the way they were first, I thought that was such a beautiful moment. It really, it conveyed so much, you know. And the funny thing is that Charlie's only a few years older when we meet him in the film than he was back then. But you know, and it's the way that he passes on to his sister. You know, it's like he's almost like an adult and he's passing on. But that was a beautiful moment. I think it was extraordinary. So
no, he's aged well for 75. He still looks pretty young, I think, for 75.
He certainly has. He certainly has.
I will say that sequence, and again, is not only the photo wall, it's also the animation when they go up the tree and you see how Erik puts it together, where he goes through, he actually ages through the years as he climbs the tree. That sequence came together because of my son Brian, who's a co-writer on the special, came up with that idea. I was a little leery of it first because my dad always said he hated the early drawings of his artwork, you know, and I think most artists are that way. They look back at the early stuff and they really don't appreciate it. But once we saw that in animation, we saw those little kids. I mean, to me, that was just like the heart of the movie. I just love that sequence, and I never get tired of looking at it.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Well, guys, unfortunately, I would sit here and talk to you guys for hours because there's so much more I wanted to cover. But this is it. It's time up. So it's a real pleasure. Thank you for taking time out, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much, David.
Thanks a lot.
Take
Cheers.
care.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.